12 rules for life. I decided to change the setting. We're in the outdoors. We're in the great outdoors. 12 rules for life. So you think to yourself, okay, what's he up to now? What's this whimsical forest elf? What's this whimsical forest elf getting up to now? You know, so far we've seen him in a tranquil indoors environment, sitting comfortably, delivering his analogies, his musings, his philosophical propositions from the comfort of an armchair, like a true intellectual. Well, today I decided, and it's the same day, by the way, because my schedule is just that free from the constraints of existence. That I can just spend all day doing this shit. Alright, so we're at rule number 6. Rule number 6. And so I thought it'd be fitting to shoot this in nature, because as any Lars von Trier fan will know, nature is the church of Satan, of Satanas. And as we all know, 6, that is the most depraved number, the most inhuman number. I'm gonna sit on this slab. Oh, time for me to sit on a slab here. They've got concrete slabs at this place, so it's not complete wilderness after all. Six, 666, the number of the beast, the number of the dragon. So I thought it'd be fitting to be out here in the Pinewood Forest, in the Pinewood Grove, secluded from others, because of course this would be very embarrassing if it was to be witnessed real time, you know, because this is essentially just schizophrenia happening right here. No, I'm joking. Or am I? So rule number 6. Pretty easy. Basically BBWB. I know what you're thinking. What, you mean fat women? You know, big beautiful women, big breasted women? BBWB, what the fuck does that mean? It means be the beast you wanna be, motherfucker. So how do we break down this? How do we break down this piece of wisdom right here? How do we find a method to make sense out of this maxim which I've just proposed, this axiom, which really seems to leave the door open for a lot of mischief. You know, we think about beastly nature as a value-laden description, often describing the unconstrained behavior of human, untainted by social constraints, socialization, society, expectation. Be the beast you want to be. I cannot stress this enough. Be the beast you want to be. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, Tor, what does this mean? Or, okay, you person I don't know the name of, you fucking... Check this out. We got fly amanitas out here. I'm about to die. I'm about to get poisoned by this fine specimen here, Amanita muscaria. Trying to find appropriate shelter in the forest so that I may light up a smoke. With certainty. That lit up very well. Very well. So what does it mean, be the beast you want to be? This is essentially what the psychologist refers to as integrating your shadow. Jung, archetypes, Jordan Peterson, 12 rules. And what this means is the social state of being is a constant strain on the human organism, because, as the naturalists will point out, human beings are in fact animals. Now we can sit and linger in scholastic philosophy and try to define the essential characteristic which separates us from the animals, and that's a rewarding discussion in and of itself. Maybe you'll see more about that in video number 7. But it's not a topic we'll breach upon here. We'll merely state the fact that you have a social identity, but you also have an animal identity, which is linked to the fact that you're a creation of nature. So what does that mean? It means that you have the potential to be short-sighted, you have the potential to be pleasure-seeking, you have the potential to be selfish, all these things which are derogatorily attributed to animals, usually by dry scientists who find this idea of the human animal so abhorrent, so terrifying, that they need to create the means to explain their way out of it through some derogatory characterization. But as some of the more bright philosophers and quote-unquote psychologists recognize, is that the human becomes rendered ineffectual if it does not internalize its beastly nature. It needs to recognize that it is, after all, an animal. And so, when you think to yourself, why am I sad? Why am I not content with my life? A lot of the time, it's not because of whatever reason that you've invented in your head. A lot of the time, it's just because it's been a while since you've gotten laid. Okay, basically. And there's a reason why cults always have an aspect of sexual control, and that is because sex is power. Sex is power, okay? You get all the even numbers between 1 and 12, you see a pattern evolving. Alright, number 6 is intrinsically linked with number 8, which we'll get to. So sex is power. And so in a cult, the cult leader wants to get all the pussy, and it wants to keep the mere member of the cult in a constant state of sexual starvation, so that they become filled with anxiety, depression, feelings of inadequacy, and thus they become malleable to the more knowledgeable cult leader, who, to his credit, has discovered the mechanisms for controlling people, controlling groups of people. In that way, he's just like any other prophet. Prophet. See it now? And so, how do you stop yourself from joining a cult? Basically, you gotta be the beast you wanna be. Now the W in here is very important, because wanting things is animalistic, okay? So if you don't have a relationship with what you want, you are fundamentally alienated from your nature, young man or woman watching this, or other. You are locked in a prison away from your true self, which is of course what a lot of people perceive in the current day and age. But instead of thinking it appropriate to seek out nature in all its abhorrent glory, people instead seek the internet, because they don't want to think about the cycle of life and death. They just want to, quote unquote, download an identity without realizing what an identity is made of. And so you gotta be in tune with your will. You might say, how do I know it's my will that we're talking about here? How do I not know, like the great Frenchman, René Descartes? How do I not know that there's a demon tricking me into wanting things that I really want? This has plagued the Christian mystics and many other priestly people for a very long time. And, in nature, what human wants becomes very simple. But then again, nature is chaos, which is why it has come to be known as the Church of Satan. Because evolution sped up, which is chaos, is merciless. Okay, the weak die, the strong prevail in cruelty. And so seeking out nature may in fact reveal some things to you that you've been taught your whole life are evil. But not because of their transcendent evil nature, because to call nature evil is essentially to call everything evil, and that's just resentful. Look at this. How evil. How evil. Oh no, I got dirty. How evil a fly Amanita muscaria. It looks so delicious to eat, but it's gonna make my liver fail. How evil. How fucking evil. How can something so beautiful be evil? Oh my god. If you think that your beastly nature is evil, you've been duped. You've been duped, my friend. You are living in a lunar kingdom. You're essentially living in the womb. You are under the thumb of the devouring mother. That's become a popular phrase. And you gotta break free from that shit. Somebody, the other guy is talking a lot about you gotta enter the woods where it looks darkest and scariest to you. Okay, cool. If you're like a sedentary farmer person who believes that all life should be in principle indoors, then I'm sure the woods look real scary, real battle with the devil. Oh no, look at these mushrooms. Oh no. But if you have a little bit more perspective, you realize that human has a lot more experience being a hunter-gatherer and being essentially what has later become termed as a savage than it has experience with being indoors and reading books and being in monasteries and theorizing. And so really the thing that scares you about the woods is how much you want it, how much you want to be there, how much you crave that chaos. You little fucking hoe. I can hear sirens. Siren song. I feel like Odysseus right here. So how do you reconnect with your natural essence, you ask? You gotta expose yourself to some chaos, okay? You gotta essentially just roll in the mud like a pig a few times, and then, just be unapologetic. Like, you get boners in class. That's not a problem. That just means you're healthy, okay? You're horny. You're a horny bee. You're a hungry bee, okay? This is just a fact of life. This is just a pure fact. A simple factoid for you to internalize completely with your soul. And you gotta get your shit in this world. And the fact that people find nature scary is your great advantage, because that means if you have your natural self hidden behind the self that we've been discussing so far, from 5 and down, the self of participating in common sense. When you go above 5, you got your beastly self, and the trick to starting the climb further from that point is realizing that your beastly self can be used as a sort of power in these games, but you have to be really careful about how much of it you reveal, because nature is the church of Satan, right? So if you want to be a full beast, you got to be in the woods. So if you're in a civilized context, your beast has to be very, very contained, but it has to be present, like a dog on a lead, And some people got a little Chihuahua. Chihuahuas are some of the most aggressive dogs because they don't realize that they're tiny, because they don't realize the willful breeding of dogs have gone so fast that the evolution of the dog mind has not kept up with it. So Chihuahuas think they're wolves, but they're actually tiny, smaller than cats. And then you got Rottweilers and fucking pit bulls, German shepherds, if you want to go down that path, and everything in between, like a fucking poodle, And what beast do you want to be? What beast do you want to be? I'm thinking, dog-wise, I want to go as close to the source as I can. Why is that? Because I'm a beast, I don't ask where the tap is. I go straight to the lake and I drink out of it, like an elephant using my trunk. Okay? Or like a bear, alright? I see an anthill, I just fucking break it open, eat the eggs, whatever. I see a beehive, I just smash it open and eat the honey. Fuck it, That's the one thing that nature teaches us, is that the bigger tank-like animal always gets what it wants. And it too is subject to the forces of entropy and death. But it allows itself to be unshackled from the constraints of social being. If you take bees and bears as an example, you can easily see how the existence as a bee is a much more pitiful one than the existence as a bear. Even though the bear probably feels more intense loneliness, more sorrow, it probably has to be more beastly, less civilized. Probably realizes the toll of this. Mother bears having to fight off male bears because male bears instinctually just kill the young. That is a brutal framework of reality. One in which evolution works really fucking hard to keep the bears as strong as they can be. Not merely to survive in the forest, but to thrive in the forest. This is something that the mere materialist students of nature don't manage to grasp. They think that the goal is mere survival, but it isn't. Okay, if it was mere survival, we would all be yeast covering a lake of chemicals on the crust of the earth. We have spliced into a myriad of complex life forms, precisely because life seeks to thrive in whatever niche it finds itself in. Life seeks to dominate. That's just the truth, okay? There is no animal farm. The animal farm is essentially a concentration camp for animals. Might be a pleasant little place for a holiday for a city-dwelling person whose relationship with nature is primarily shaped by Disney. But the animal farm is a concentration camp. So for the animal, the choice is essentially concentration camp or chaos in the wild. And I think we know within our own hearts what we would always choose. We always choose thriving over mere survival. This is the reason why life is complex. This is the reason why there is material for literature to base itself upon. The seemingly irrational actions of man, as it seeks for a way to thrive, for giving its beastly nature a place in a world where one is increasingly demanded to alienate oneself from the beastly nature. And so that is why I'm in nature today, people. That is why I'm out here among the trees, listening to the wind, really putting myself on the spot, because at any moment this seance could be interrupted, perhaps by me moving incautiously and falling over and breaking my leg, or more likely some hiking people coming by and seeing this grown adult in scruffy clothes with a scruffy appearance talking to himself in fixed concentration through his cell phone camera, which would be highly embarrassing to me because I'd like to present to them a facade that I am just a normal person, because I don't want to deal with the repercussions of sticking out in the animal farm. So what about revolution? What about breaking down society? What about fighting bourgeois values and liberation? Liberation is chaos. Okay? So many of the soy boys are, by implication, through Foucault, essentially Nietzscheans. They're just twink Nietzscheans. They're Nietzscheans who don't lift. They speak of liberation because they're used to playing the game of seeming innocent because of civilization's increasing worship of the innocent, which is a lie, you know. Again, it's based on this idea of hatred of the flesh, the sinfulness of being alive at all. And so they play that game cynically in order to sow the seeds of chaos and destruction, which they have just simply re-termed as liberation, which it is, but it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. But then you might think to yourself, wait a second, nature, when left to its own devices, it always becomes beautiful. What the hell? What the hell? This vast battlefield of competing life forms, rising and falling cyclically, slaying each other, becomes, to the watchful eye of the human upon the peak, a beautiful painting, a vista, a mandala, a fractal, which to many reveals to them God. Everything comes to an end. Everything lives and dies. Everything in nature lives and dies. Be the beast you want to be, because you only have a limited amount of time. And a life without beauty is not worth living. That is why we so feverishly try to create beauty, even in this age, where the human soul has become so impoverished due to its immersion in technology, that creation has essentially disappeared and been replaced by production, reproduction, and manufacture, taking place within the positivist paradigm, or as I like to call it, the pussy paradigm, because if you're a positivist, you're a pussy, bro. You're a pussy. The pussy paradigm, okay? Imagine every house is a pussy, okay? Whenever you go inside, instead of being inside, that's your baby internal self going, I want to climb back into mama's womb. I want to climb back into mama's womb. And you know what that is? That is suicidality, cloaked in innocence. Just like Friedrich Nietzsche said, Christianity is the ultimate nihilism. And it's a tragedy. The modern man now views nature more as a Disney film than as the Church of Satan. Because of course it's too scary. I don't really believe in Satan. I mean, they're set. But that's just some like weird Freemason shit for resentful nerds. But I believe in nature. Okay? I believe in nature. I see the divine through nature like all these other people. But I don't use the quite frankly retarded line of reasoning of, look, it's beautiful, it must be created. You don't even know what created means, bro. You spent your whole life staring at the internet. You spent your whole life staring on TV. You don't know what creation is. You're just like everyone else. You're an android who runs on the ideals that have been fed to you by the culture. Okay? You have no idea what it means to be created. Okay? This presumptive view of the Christians. Oh, look, tree is green. It must be created. It doesn't have any logical content. And so they might as well just not say it. Of course, they can't stop themselves from saying anything because they're positivists, positivists. And so they sit and restlessly produce all day and don't know when to shut up. Much like I am doing right now. Indulging myself in the vanity of speaking to a mirror instead of seeking out other things in life that would be more productive and beneficial. I could be here without my cell phone, staring at the nature and not sharing any of this shit with you, the mere mortal. Because quite frankly, you're not worth it. Okay? Why would I? Why would I? It's much better that only I know this than that you know this. Okay? So the fact that I walked for 5 minutes to come out into nature doesn't mean shit. There is nothing rule 6 about what I'm doing right now. Okay? Be the beast you want to be. Okay? You gotta be lifting. Okay? I don't care who you are. I don't care what your life situation is. You can get some weights and you can lift them. And if you think, oh, that's just like some fucking masculinist pickup artist shit, then you're basically lost. Okay, your organism is too weak, and once the dome collapses, you're gonna be first to go, buddy boy. You're gonna be the first one out, okay? You're gonna be boiled soup on, alright? Your supple little sheltered bones are gonna be boiling the broth for the people who bothered to lift while things were still good. Alright? Cycles. Everything comes to an end. Even your little machine womb state. I hate to tell it to you. I hate to break it to you like this. Lift. Secondly, don't be afraid of mud. Don't be afraid of fucking normal nature. Okay? That's pussy shit. That's positivists encountering the unknown. Oh my god, the unknown. Positivists positively hate the unknown. Okay? Look at this. Even here, human beings are constructing rickety shacks for the future slums, for the future Northern European slums. This is what a house in the future Northern European slum is going to look like. It's going to look like a pagan effigy. And you got to start acclimatizing your body to dealing with temperature ranges that are completely out of what you've been accustomed to in your little life, in your social life, in your carefully planned out, modern, enlightened life. Be the beast you want to be, alright? Get into MMA fighting, do jaw exercises, alright? Be contrarian just for the sake of it. Get into an argument because you're bored. Get drunk. Slam a whole bottle of vodka and just see what happens. Fuck, there's people up there. Fucking people. Fuck others. Fuck others. I'm a bear. I'm a bear. Okay, guys. I know that this became a slightly longer video than anticipated, but I think we got a lot of good meat out of this one. That's, if you watch, we're halfway through now, so if you watch just one half, you're gonna be like, we're just meat. We're just meat puppets out here, right? The gods pulling the strings. We're just meat puppets at the whims of the universe. Well, you're halfway there, buddy. You're halfway there, but, and this will be discussed in further detail in video number 7, you still haven't accounted for the fact that you're here perceiving this. And so video number 7 is going to be a quite ambitious project, because we're going to move from merely describing external things and experiences and contextualizing them in a way that reveals the underlying meaning. We're going to move from that to trying to describe perception of reality itself, which is so circular that it almost becomes moot, but it doesn't. Because if you cannot contend with that idea, then you aren't allowed to be presumptuous at all. I don't know if you can see this. There we go. There was a rainbow. There we go. See that? Up there. It's hard to catch on camera. Rainbow. So we're gonna try to intellectually grasp perception itself. And, that's going to be something that's going to be sounding pretty schizophrenic to most people. But just remember, all thought is just a version of madness. Remember that, okay? When human beings became farmers, they started storing grain. And in the grain storages, fungus grew on the grain. And ever since, we've had funguses growing inside of our brains, growing inside of our neat little brains, telling us to do all kinds of weird shit, like build pyramids and conduct rituals. So, the intellectual task of describing perception itself becomes the only way that you can use your insanity to cure yourself of insanity. Double insanity, alright? Double mercury. If somebody knows about that. If somebody knows about that shit. And that's really everything for this video. I hope you're staying tuned for number 7, and hit the subscribe button, leave a comment below, tell me what you think about my shit. Is it too long? I think it's getting a bit too long, so I'm gonna try to do the next video a little bit shorter. But first, take a look at this. A 6-spoked gear. The clockwork of the universe. Catch you on the flip side.